Hey everyone, Drone the Go here, coming to you today from Winter Park, Florida. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a ride on the Winter Park Scenic Boat Tour. Some say that this is a hidden gem in Orlando, so let's check it out. Let's go.
The Winter Park Scenic Boat Tour is an hour-long narrated cruise through the chain of lakes and man-made canals in Winter Park, Florida. The tours offer views of local wildlife, lush scenery, and magnificent waterfront mansions, along with historic facts and the area. It runs daily except Christmas Day, departing hourly from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So parking. I parked at the Winter Park Sunrail station, but there is also limited parking near the boat tour.
Very limited spots close by and all full. But the walk's not bad, especially when it's decent weather and not a bajillion degrees outside.
Parking near the Scenic Boat Tour is up to 3 hours.
Yep, the end of the road of Morse Boulevard ends here. And this is pretty much the parking spots available. There are another couple parking lots further down, and then I ended up getting a parking spot over by the Sunrail station.
It is recommended to arrive early for your preferred time slot, especially during the busy winter season. Also on Saturdays, allow extra time due to the Winter Park Farmers Market. Here's a look at the pricing. You can also book a private tour if you have a group of 18 or more. Be mindful that tours will not run if there's lightning within a 10-mile radius. The boats are arriving from their last tours and it's almost time to get on. Here's a look at what the boat looks like. As you can notice, there's no cover, so you want to make sure you bring a hat and some sunscreen.
How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
You all by yourself?
Yes, sir.
Well, welcome aboard.
Okay, it's time to board, so let's let our tour guide take over and enjoy the ride.
All right, you made it. You made it. Everybody made it. You're looking good, too. Welcome to the Winter Park Scenic Boat Tour, 87 years later. We're the oldest tourist attraction in the state of Florida, if you can believe it. We just ask a few things. Is that you keep your conversation to a minimum while your skipper is speaking. Also, please reserve your telephone use to anything except conversation. Today is Friday, so you may swim. Just let me know where you want to stop, okay? Maybe we'll stop at Alligator Cove and let you swim there if you really want to go. But anyway, all in all, life preservers are under the seats. Outside of that, please enjoy the ride. And you'll see lots of beauty out here, lots of architecture, amazing stuff. We're going to go to Rollins College as well. Do we have any frequent floaters on board? Welcome back, welcome back. All right, you can scrutinize me all you want here. Just let me know. If it's good, my name is Skipper Oz. If it's not, just make up a name. A museum that you'll see to the right. Mr. Polasic was a world-renowned sculptor in his day. He actually migrated to the U.S. when he was 20 years old. You can see people walking in the garden there. He migrated to Philadelphia to go to art school. And he was a scholarly guy. He graduated with honors, and then he immediately moved to Rome because he wanted to study under the best sculptors in the world, which he did. And he was very successful for many years. And then when he was 40, he got a call from the Art Institute of Chicago asking if he wanted to head up their art department, which he did. And he was very successful there for 30 years until he turned 70 and decided to retire in Florida. Beautiful Florida. He had this place built. It was built out. It was a beautiful home and studio. And you know what? He was here for only 2 months after he moved in and had a stroke. But it didn't kill him, fortunately, but it did slow him down a bit. He could only use one side of his body. But with one arm, he constructed some of the best works that he developed through all of his years. And you can see over 200 of his on display there any day except Monday. It's only a $12 ticket, by the way, $10 for seniors. The Capon House here, this great house is old, 130 years old. And what's amazing about it is that it's only been sitting there for 12 years. And there is a reward for those who stay on board. You'll get to hear the rest of the story a little later. We're going to head into our first canal, this fern canal, but before I tell you that, I want to talk about this beautiful cypress tree here for the home building business. So they had to build canals to get the wood over to the train station, which via the sawmill was the way to go. So all these canals are connected to the sawmill, which was on the next lake over. I'll point out where that used to stand as well. I had a lady on board about 6 months ago who asked me if this landscaping was real. I said, ma'am, you have TMD. I didn't actually say that, but that's called too much Disney. If you look to the right, just past this bamboo, you're going to see a 400-year-old oak tree. It's a beauty. And there to the left, what's left of one of the few remaining pine trees that's about 200 years old. Up ahead is the Fairbanks Avenue Bridge. That'll help you understand why we don't have roofs on our boats anymore. Incidentally, these canals are about 6 to 7 feet deep. The lake's at their deepest point about 30 feet. It's not mandatory that you duck your head, but in the summertime, during our rainy season, you can see how high the water line gets. If you're new to the area, we've got a real banana tree here to your left. An alligator. Well, cement alligator. And Jeremiah, if you've been here, you know Jeremiah. He used to be a bullfrog. And welcome to Lake Virginia. This is the home of Rollins College that you see to the right. Beautiful, beautiful campus. We'll take a little circle over here and I'll show you the campus. First thing you notice though is that beautiful Knowles Chapel. Mrs. Knowles, the widow Knowles, she dedicated that to her husband in 1930. The money that is, and then it took Ralph Adams Cram 2 years to build it in 32 and 33. And man, he was a heck of a builder. He built the chapels at Notre Dame, at West Point. He built 7 buildings up at Princeton University. He built All Saints Church here in Winter Park. Just a few of the samples of his works. He was amazing. If you look through here to the left, you'll see a little canal that goes over Lake Mizell. That's named after David Mizell. He actually had an encampment here in 1855 while he was serving as the sheriff of Orange County. But unfortunately, he died in a gunfight over a cattle rustling deal. So he left behind his land. And then the Morse Genius family ended up picking up this whole peninsula in 1900, and they turned it into orange groves. So now you know there's a lake on the other side. All these houses on this peninsula. That's when a group of Congregationalists who were led by Lucy Cross. She's also known as the mother of Rollins College, by the way. They wanted to bring their church here, and they did. First Congregational still sits on Interlochen Avenue, and they of course wanted to play their role in building one of the first 3 named colleges in the state, which is Rollins. But you know what? They were competing against 3 other cities to build this school. So they had to raise enough money to do so. Then they finally met Mr. Alonzo Rollins. He was an industrialist from Chicago who wanted his name on the building, perpetually, of course. So you know what? He gave that little consortium $50,000 to do so. $50,000 in 1885. That got them to a grand total of 114, about 4.2 million in today's money, and that was enough to acquire the rights to build this school as well as the 80 acres that it sits on today. You notice that walking path. That used to be a railroad, believe it or not, back in 1900 it was built. It was called the Dinky Railroad Line. It was so small. My theory is that Rollins was basically a commuter school in 1900. So it was the first public transportation between Winter Park and Orlando, 18 miles. And I think that was probably a way to get the students from Orlando to Winter Park to go to college. The Dinky Line. Unfortunately, it did have enough passengers generally to help it back on the tracks when it would fall off, which was quite frequently. Over here to the left, the Rollins Boathouse, home of their water ski team, their sailing school. Right behind it, if you've got some time on your hands today, I recommend you check out the Rollins Museum of Fine Art. They have over 10,000 pieces of art that they rotate in and out of there. The good news is that it's free of charge. Also, their music program is the best. They have one of a few Bach choirs and orchestras in the nation that are connected to a college. So good is their music program that Paul McCartney set his steps on here 10 years ago. And Paul even appeared on campus twice. Once he sat in the chapel with Billy Collins, who was then the U.S. Poet Laureate. You know what Billy wanted to talk about? The Beatles. You know what Paul wanted to talk about? Anything else. And he showed that by picking up his guitar right in the middle of the conversation, and he broke into Blackbird. It was a great little moment. Over here to the left, Rollins expanding their student base. 2 new dormitories, Lakeview 4 and Lakeview 5. Right behind it all is their new tennis center. Dollar Home. On the way. You can see the fruit on this tree. Another glimpse of that beautiful tree. We had a tree expert here about 6 months ago who pointed out that that was actually 2 trees that had grown together. He said they don't look at the bottom part to determine its age either. They looked at the branches. He said it was 400. We thought it was 300 for many years. This branch here, well, that was a perch for an owl last season that sent me a little gift one morning. And the lady next to me said, "Oh, that's good luck." I said, "Thank you, man." I had no idea. And here we are, back at Lake Osceola. Formerly, this whole area was just called Lakeview. And until 1875, that's when Winter Park got its charter. And that was started by 2 guys who came down here from New England. Chapman and Chase were their last names. They bought over 1,000 acres here to redevelop, right? And they didn't like the idea of selling a name like Lakeview to their friends up in the frosty north, so they had the name changed to Park in the wintertime. Brilliant, right? And that's why it stuck. It all started in 1875. You can see a couple of Alvin Pulaski sculptures in there. This house to your right was one of James Gamble Rogers' later projects he built in 1957. It's called the Rich Estate. Anyway, it originally had an adobe roof on it. And for those of you who have returning frequent floaters, you'll probably remember up until recently it had a sandy beach all the way around it. We used to call it our Daytona beachfront, but unfortunately the weather got to it, so they had to cover it. But anyway, originally that sandy beach was acquired in Daytona Beach. In the 50s, you could go there, pick up a couple of truckloads of sand and bring them home like they did. It looked great with the beach. It still looks pretty great. It's got 2 living rooms facing west and north because you can see it sits on a very nice point of land. Our 2 houses James Gamble Rogers built simultaneously in 1954. But what's most impressive to me are these people on the right because they handle all their own landscaping. Just one couple. They do beautiful work. And here we are on Lake Maitland. This being the largest of the 6 lakes in the chain. That's the city of Maitland, straight ahead to the north and to the west, as a matter of fact. And 1792 runs north and south over that way. In 1937, courtesy of the Kraft family, not only did they donate 15 amazing acres of land, but they actually completed the park before they turned it over. All the city had to do was hang a sign and call it Kraft Azalea Gardens. And then 20 years later, their children, they wanted to, you know, kind of memorialize what their parents had done. So in the mid-1950s, they donated this Excedra, which is a Greek word also known as an outdoor room with seating. And what a place that is, what a popular spot that is for photo shoots all weekend long. And above that, on the point here, you'll see a deep green tree. That's a banyan. They generally don't grow well north of Miami, but that one, that's an award winner there. It's a beauty. It's over 40 years old and doing just fine. That was another brainchild of James Gamble Rogers. He thought that it would be a great idea in the mid-30s to convert what was then swampland into real estate. So the city said okay, and they filled it. They created 11 lots out there. He actually traded for one of those lots, and today that little peninsula is the most valuable real estate in all of Central Florida. He built 2 homes out there, his own, which is inside a little bit, and this one on the end that he built in 1937 with the red roof. That is his own, the only house he built, by the way, that remains intact to this day. Around 1936, by James Gamble Rogers, he built that house for the Packard family. You may recall the Packard automobile. They used to build those in Detroit until the 50s when they were deemed too luxurious for the times. Anyway, that was the Packard family's winter home for quite a while, and right next door to it was Horace Grant's house. He was an NBA star, as you may recall, played with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls before moving to Orlando and signing with the Orlando Magic when Shaquille O'Neal was here. Anyway, he went off, played with a couple of other teams, ultimately sold it in about 15 or 20 years ago, and the only big changes they made right after he left were to make it friendly for people who were under 7 feet tall, if you can imagine. Buddy Ebsen went to Rollins College. Anthony Perkins, Ellen Bergeron, she used to be married to Tiger Woods, you might recall, when they had their little incident right here in Central Florida. Pete Dye, the famous golf course designer, he went to Rollins. So did Mr. Rogers. How about that? Yeah, Mr. Rogers was in the class of 1952. The story is that, well, he was from Latrobe, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. His parents owned the largest brick company in Pennsylvania, so they had a lot of money. Well, they must have had a lot of money because they bought him this house right here to live in while he was in college. His sister succeeded him. She's also a Rollins grad. But what a place, huh? You got to believe that he must have written a couple of his tunes right here in Winter Park as well. And if you go to Rollins, there's a Walk of Fame over there, and he's at the head of it. Actually, there's a statue of him surrounded by children. Because now I can tell you the rest of the story of the Capon House. Well, first of all, it used to live right there, that house across the lake, where that gray house is with the white chimney. It was there until about 12 years ago. And that's when those people decided that they weren't going to restore it and were going to tear it down. Well, Thaddeus Seymour, he was the president of Rollins College then, and he and a group of citizens got together. They were, historical conservationists. They wanted to keep that house. So they went to these folks and asked them if they could have it, essentially, and they said, sure, but you got to get it off of our land. So they raised $450,000. They secured that little spot at the museum. Then they came back with their construction crew, and they literally cut that place in half with chainsaws into 2 parts. And they named them Fred and Ginger, by the way. They moved them down the lawn, rolled them, placed them on a barge, and floated that thing across the lake. You can see it on YouTube. It's pretty fascinating. Charles Hosmer Morse, that was his boathouse, built around 1875, and his residence is at the top of the hill. It's called the Osceola Lodge, which once controlled all the land around here, about 1,000 acres, and nobody lives there now. It's been empty for about 60 years. But let me tell you, Mr. Morse gave Winter Park a lot. He gave us our Central Park. He gave us our beautiful Morse Museum, which houses the largest Tiffany collection in the world. And he also gave us a foundation, which adds to about every charity around. So we're very grateful to have that part of our past, that's for sure. And I would like to thank you for being a part of my day today. Hope you liked it. And also remember, you come back, you get more information, because I make up new stuff all the time. Park Avenue, straight up the hill, just 3 blocks if you're looking for a place to dine or go shopping or just walking around. It's beautiful over there. Anyway, have a fabulous day, and if you would, please remain seated until I am off the boat first, so that I can assist you, of course. La da 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 da.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please leave a like. It helps out my channel. And if you would like to see more videos like this, hit subscribe so we can hang out more often. Thank you for watching and have a good one.